Thanksgiving tonight.
Okay.
With some people, yeah, but we're hosting. That's our usual person goes out of town, so now we get the whole party at our place after work today, so.
Are you making something?
I make this like, my wife's doing like a bakery and I make this like raspberry jalapeno jam. It's like
I've had something like that. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, I mean, I wanted to do something else. She's like, it's a hit apparently. So I'm like, all right, let's stay with the classes.
Yeah.
Today.
With like crackers or something?
Yeah, like she does like she takes like a thing of brie and like wraps it in like, you know, Pillsbury dough.
Mm-hmm.
It's like you can just wrap pieces of that, put that on there.
Yeah.
It's pretty solid.
Had something similar. It's good.
Yeah, we're doing that. But yeah, unfortunately, working real Thanksgiving and Christmas this year, unfortunately. But yeah,
I see Black Friday, so.
there you go.
Yeah.
That was chaos. I don't know, I feel like it's gone down the last couple of years. Black Friday.
I feel like Black Friday's nothing like what it used to be. Now all these online shopping now, but Black Friday, Cyber Monday, they're already doing sales now. You got Amazon Day, just I'm like, listen, we all know it's all lies. We all know the prices have been lower, and you've slowly been lower in the past 6 months, and then like by a couple dollars, a couple cents here and there, and then you jack them back up to what they were and say it's a sale.
Yeah.
Or you slowly raise them and drop them down to what they originally were and say it's a sale. Like,
Yeah, it is. It's very.
I mean, they've been doing studies, so that it's proven like on Amazon when you're signed into your account, it'll say, oh, lightning deal or this, that, it's like 25% off, and it shows you the price, but if you're not signed in and you're on a different computer or a different browser, it's the same price with no sale. Because they're doing that to target you specifically because they know that's your pattern of buying things of that type. Because electronics, they know you buy more electronics, they target. It's horrible.
There's never any camera gear or anything good on the side of it.
No, you gotta look at like B&H and stuff like that, but like that just depends, because B&H has got like all the holidays with their Jewish company, so it's just all the holidays are off. Oh, no, we're off for this, we're off for that, but okay, cool. At least you're still a good, reliable source for that stuff.
Yeah. All right.
My husband's already going crazy, like he wants to buy a fridge, a
He's
freezer.
got the
Yeah.
whole shebang.
Yeah. He got an air fryer recently. Yeah, but he's gonna wait for Black Friday on the freezer, but yeah.
I'm just waiting for some video game stuff. I'm waiting for to see if the Steam that goes on sale. They just announced that Steam is now doing it with all computer games. They're making their own basic gaming system now and everything
Yeah,
like that.
I think my brother has one of those.
Do you is that already coming out that quickly? Or I saw the announcement.
I know they announced it, but I think they're saying it's going to be out this year sometime. I'm not 100% sure when. But I'm waiting for when they announce that to happen. They might do a sale on the Steam that people I'm thinking.
Nice.
All right, well, Brian just texted me. They're on the way now, so go ahead and get ready.
So crowded down here. He is on his way down.
So we go ahead and go live yet or not?
No, he's waiting a second.
Thank you. You bet.
Go live?
No, not yet. It's more of a saunter.
Hey guys,
Hello.
thanks for coming up. You guys want a name of someone with the association that can talk about this? I don't know if you're gonna try to do an action or
I
anything.
did, well,
R.J. Webb, 557-6229. Do you need that?
I'm, as far as I'm aware, I'm just streaming this back.
All right. 557.
All right, Keith.
6229.
Here he comes.
Good Friday afternoon, everyone. Thank you for being with us today. And this is going to take a few minutes to roll out, but I really think that the people who want to know and need to know will be comfortable with the extra few minutes. We're going to talk today for a few minutes about the East Polk County Association of Realtors and their ex-executive director, Jennifer Garula Mers, M-E-R-S, Mers. Here's what's important to understand. This all started in about 2021, 2022, when a realtor by the name of R.J. Webb was elected the president of the association. And he began to notice things that were inappropriate. So as president of the association, at the board meetings, he challenged the executive director to see documents, to see financials, to see information. The executive director absolutely refused to show the president of the association the appropriate documents. Not only that, the board of directors backed up the executive director, Jennifer Mers, as opposed to their own president, R.J. Webb. They said he was just trying to cause trouble. It was abundantly evident that there was a problem. So this internal strife went on for a period of time, and R.J., who can provide more details for those in the association, finally personally brought lawsuit in order to stop this conduct and to stop what he believed to be the theft of funds. This is EPCAR's photograph of Jennifer Garula Mers. She ultimately, during the process of the lawsuit, which by the way, they lost, was terminated from her job in August of 24. So this went on about 2 years before she was terminated. But we were also called in to do an investigation on September 16th of 24. Aha. There was more to it. So before we got into it to do this, we got into it to investigate David Stachwick. He's 55 from Weeki Wachee. Now let me tell you about him. After RJ filed the lawsuit, and now this is still all civil, RJ and his father, who is a realtor, Webb's Real Estate, got a call from an Anthony. Hey, I'm Anthony from Chicago. Things are not going to end well if the lawsuit doesn't stop. You know, it needs to drop the lawsuit or it won't end well. So at that time, John and RJ, who by the way recorded the conversation, said, are you threatening us? Are you threatening us? No grooming supplies, beauty products. This is why she's working, stealing their money. This is what she looks like after she can't buy any more grooming supplies and beauty products, and she's under investigation. So the investigation goes on. Our detectives working with the state attorney's office were able to obtain warrants for her arrest. She lived in Hernando County, where she was taken into custody on grand theft charges of more than $20,000, which is like an F2, as well as many other criminal charges. Here's what's interesting to understand. And I say this East Polk County Association of Realtors Board of Directors at the time circled the wagon in her favor, as opposed to listening to RJ Webb and looking at the obvious information. When you have an executive director that looks the board of directors in the eyes, looks the president in the eyes, and she works for them and refuses to produce documents, in our world we call that a clue. But they still supported her and forced RJ and his father to go out on their own to sue in order to try to save EPCAR. The sad circumstances is EPCAR is really on the ropes right now. They're all but broke. In fact, they're in the process of maybe merging with another association so that they can continue on. East Polk County Association of Realtors has been in place for decades and decades and decades. There was no checks and balances by the board of directors. They took her job and her side, they took her side while she's doing her job. She very rarely came to the office. She was hired during the COVID years. There was no follow-ups. The bookkeeper just did what the executive director said. The executive director hired her on staff, so there was no one to say, whoa, there's a problem here. When the new, and I understand why they didn't, because when the new president comes in and says there's a problem here, the executive board of directors ignores him, chastises him, suggests he not only leave the presidency, but leave the association. But who was right here? Who tried to save the association here? And in the process, David, AKA Anthony, threatened them if they didn't drop the lawsuit. This is a made-for-television movie. It didn't have to be that way. Any association, whether you're Little League, T-ball, any volunteer association has to have independent checks and balances. And EPCAR didn't have those in place, as they should have, and then ignored the person who tried to bring to their attention, we're being ripped off by our own executive director. The good news is most of that board has turned off, and the new interim CEO came to us and reported this criminal allegation that our fraud unit followed up on, and ultimately caused Jennifer to get arrested today. Jennifer is currently in the Hernando County Jail under no bond, and cases are proceeding against her, as well as her, what we believe to be co-conspirator, to try to stop the lawsuit and the action. Are there any questions?
Sheriff, when will she be, or him as well, I suppose, when will they be brought here to?
David has already bonded out of jail because he was arrested some time ago. His charges are pending. If she does not post bond, she'll go to first appearance today. The judge can leave it at no bond and send her back to Polk County. He can allow her to post a bond and then report back to Polk County to stand trial. So we don't know whether she stays in jail under no bond, whether she's given a bond. If she can't make the bond, then she'll be extradited back to Polk County, where she'll sit in our jail. She needs to sit in jail. She's a thief. She's a con. She's a crook. Let me say that again for that board of directors that had their head up their butt and didn't do what was right. She's a crook. She's a thief. She's a con. And you allowed her to do it when you should have been looking out for the East Polk County Association of Board of Realtors, and you didn't. But thank goodness There are those people that are ethical and moral and won't give up. It would have been real easy for R.J. Webb and John Webb of Webb's Realty just to have walked away from it. But they wouldn't walk away from doing what was right. Okay? Any other questions? Thank you all very much.